So this is her 2006, just left the road. The inspection ran out the week that I actually bought it off of a gentleman not too far from here. Just happened to see it online, and I said, ooh, its mileage is low. Again, it's got that 2.2 EcoTech. The price was right, so I jumped on it. Pretty clean other than some bumps here or there, and it runs good. Just that, again, you know, the subframe kind of underneath the frame rails that run back there, that's kind of rusted out. Other than that, she's solid. So again, under the hood, these Cobalts have the 2.2 EcoTech. Good running motor, no issues at all with it. Not too many miles on it, runs great. So no issues there. So again, our Cobalt setup we'll get into. Just a brief first look, 2006 Chevy Cobalt. We think she's gonna be tough. So just a little update on our progress here. We got the plastic off the front. Again, it's not too complex of a thing. You just kind of work your way around. These are just the little plastic clips you pop up. Headlights, there's a couple 10 millimeter bolts on top. Undo those, just pull them out, and then I just unplug them, and then we'll tuck that back in later. And then the tricky part is getting inside the wheel. It's got little, was it 7 millimeter on the side there, and then across the bottom, and then typically same setup, if not the plastic, you got the 7 millimeter going across the bottom. So just kind of undo those. Again, you can be less careful with it. I like to, especially if the front plastic isn't in bad shape, as well as the headlights. I already sold the headlights off this one, but you know, kind of take your time, maybe resell them. Somebody hits a deer or something. And the only other thing is, you see how it has these clips here. I just take a flathead and pop it out, but it has the 10 millimeter bolts in there. And again, once you have the headlights out, you can get underneath there if you're not familiar with that. So the front bumper's off, back bumper, same thing. You can see the same setup. I just take a flathead in, kind of pop it out. There's a couple plastic clips inside here. I haven't got that bottom out yet. And then there's a bolt in here, but it's so tricky. It's just a small ring there. I usually just take the screwdriver and bust that plastic ring. Even if somebody wants the bumper, they should still be able to use it. Again, headlights, they're in the back there, just usually a twist, and then like a plastic twist, and then the other one's just a 10 millimeter bolt, and then they slide out, unhook them. And then again, you got just these little wee clips here, just pop them up with a flathead screwdriver or needle nose, something like that, and then they just pop out. And then this one on the bottom, it has 4 typically of these across the bottom. They're a little bit bigger. You just get the needle nose on each side and it pops out, and then it just pops off. So we're going to take that off. Again, try not to damage it too much. Might get somebody to buy it. So just a quick look as we've now got her inside the garage, because we got all the parts off of our PT Cruiser is scrapped. So we are ready to dive into this one. So we're going to start inside, take out the doors, windows, the inner plastic, all the seats that I don't need, stuff like that, cosmetic stuff. And then we'll start getting into an oil change, and want her to be running as well as possible, since we're going to try racing her. Do our cage and the like. So here we go. It's just a little update here at what we've been doing. We got the back plastic as well as seats out, back windows out as well. Again, pretty simple, just wind them down and then you can get to the bolts. If you don't know, this one has the hand cranks, and they're a little tricky to do, but if you just press the plastic inside the door, press the plastic in a little bit, it exposes the little wee clip that's around these. You can see the groove right there, and you just have to pop them off. Well, it's a bit tricky to do if you don't have like a specific tool. I just use a flathead screwdriver, but I typically just break them off if I'm not going to use them. But got the windows out. Again, front one here I shattered. They, on the front, don't have just a bolt-on screw. They have like a clamp that's on them. You have to carefully pull the clamp apart. Well, I put too much pressure in this window and shattered it. So that window, we're going to wait until we take it outside and take the front and rear windshield out, as I don't want to make another mess in the garage that I have to sweep up. And well, this is the derby stall we park in the rest of them, so I don't want to do that. But just wanted to show, here's again, we're making this an Enduro, at least at first. We're going to derby it later, but an Enduro race car first. So Speedway Motors, got my race net. Actually ordered off Amazon because it was a little cheaper with the shipping, because I have my Amazon Prime. And then here's my hood kind of mounts, the bolts. I think it'll work. This is what I'm going to do right now, but I think it'll work just coming up through here, and then I'll bolt it on the bottom so it'll be sticking up like that. And then I'll just drill through right here so it comes up, and then you can clamp on. They require for the Enduro race the hood clamps. Other than that, everything again is stock up front. We're gonna leave it for the Enduro Race radiator, even the cheap rebar bumper there. Not gonna be hitting anything. I actually don't believe you're allowed to put a hard bumper in the front because you can use it like a battering ram, I imagine is what they're saying. So we're gonna take the carpet and the seat here out. Again, the Cobalts have the battery line that run all the way. You can see it there. I pulled it through there, run all the way to the back. You can see in the trunk, battery's still there. I'll just pull that ground up front and then bring the positive up, and I'll probably just ratchet strap it. I might drill the hole and put my battery box in there, even though it just needs to be secure. It doesn't need to be battery box kind of derby secure. And then that is pretty much it. Just a little update as we've knocked a couple more things off, and we just changed the oil, and we put quality STP motor oil, put a new air filter in it as well as an oil filter. If you don't know, these Cobalts and the 22 EcoTech a little bit different. That's a 32 millimeter there. I was able to get a socket and you can see the little cutout, but you got to loosen that and that comes out, and that's where the oil filter is. Did not know that until I was looking. I'm like, wait a minute, where is it at? So up front in the motor, she's good to go. Check the antifreeze overfill there, the overfill there to make sure she has a good amount of good antifreeze in her. But otherwise, you can see we have the windshield out as well as the rear windshield, all the doors, as well as the carpet and everything inside. And the only things we have left are racing net. We do think we have how it'll work, and it should work good there. The kit I bought. This is the rearview mirror off of the windshield that was on this car. I'm going to mount it in there too so I can see out the back middle. And that is pretty much it. Just our roof sign, and that's the final stretches. So we got her, after we changed the oil, I got her out in the road and got her up to 55 just here in front of the house. She runs pretty good and she picks up well. So final stretches here. She's almost ready to go. Just to show the battery setup again with the Cobalt, the nice thing about them is the battery line runs all the way to the back. It's run under the carpet. You can see it right there with the protective plastic around it. So just unhook it from the back, pull the positive up here, and then the negative, just unbolt and bolt here. I'm actually going to drill a hole there, and then I'll smooth that off to get kind of a good ground there. And then negative, positive. So get it back on and secured there, and then I'm just going to use ratchet straps. So I drilled down through. We're just going to use these U-bolts to go down and have them set like that, and then we use the ratchet strap from there over to there. I got about halfway through, my drill was getting hot, so I'm giving her a break. So simple ratchet strap setup for the battery, and that should do it. So just one final look at the last couple steps here as we're winding down. First, shout out to the gentleman at Home Depot. You see my chicken wire, as I call it, which is my covering. You need to have something in front of the driver. Again, typically for the Derby, I run the chain in the center, but as I took out the windshield for the Enduro Race, you have to have something in front of the driver. So I had this chicken wire, as I call it. Family or mother-in-law uses it for chickens. But you see how I was able to, with the self-drilling screws and these fender washers, shout out to the gentleman at Home Depot. I went in, I'm like, I need, and I kind of described what I needed to do. And he's like, oh, I'll just use these fender washers. And then the self-trapping goes through the sheet metal, grabs real good, just kind of slowly feed it down in with my drill. I use the impact. But yeah, you can see how these are the bigger ones here, and you can see how I just got 4 there. I cut down my chicken wire. I'll do 4 across the top and then 4 here, and she should be pretty tight and good to go. So shout out to that gentleman, that worked great. The cage, you can see, again, I'm not the best of welders, but I'm getting better. So I got my Halo cage, and I set it up just like my Derby cars, running across right behind the driver's seat here as close as I can get it without kind of putting it into my back, and then just weld it up and then across. So that came together. And then the last thing we're doing now is the race net, which I have this safety first race net. I ordered off of Amazon, but it's actually from the Speedway Motors, which I have here. Is a sticker that's on it, but you can buy it straight from them, but I bought it from Amazon because I got a better deal with shipping because I have my Amazon Prime. But a little tricky. It shipped with 4 of these, and I thought, oh man, how am I going to get these on? I'm like, oh, I should be able to weld. First I tried, it had this like black coating over all of it, and of course can't get a good ground or a good weld with that. So I took the grinder on top of the car there and just carefully smoothed it down as I held it with my needle nose. the areas that I'm going to weld. And then just to show, as it's been a little tricky, you know, use the grinder to try to smooth down the metal here. And then I held it with my needle nose pliers, and there you go. I was able to get a decent enough weld to where it's on good. It was tricky to do. It came with, I have them laid down, here's the one. Came with these bars. So the first bar, which I'm running as I drop it across the bottom, there are no directions with this, and I couldn't find anything online. So I might actually make a little video to show anyone how I did it. But here's the bar. So I got one running across the bottom right there, and I'll run through the door. Again, the door won't open once I have this in. And just kind of lined it up, put both the bar in the bottom, bar in the top. Here's the other bar. It's a straight bar. And then I'll put clips on each side of this so I can quickly unclip, slide it out, and pull the race net down, either at the end of the race or if I need to get out or things like that. But yeah, it was tricky. Just kind of eyeballed it, used my marker to make a mark, and then I got as good of a weld as I could. So we're finishing that up now. Got the last piece here to weld, and then that should be up and we're good to go. So that's pretty much the build. The only thing left I'll do is my Derby sign, which is right there. I'll put it up on top, probably behind the halo bar, and then I will cut out, like I typically do with my Derbies. I just made this little cardboard cutout. I'll line it up in the center and cut that out. So final pieces. It's been pretty similar to my Derby car builds, just a couple slight differences, in particular the race net, the chicken wire. Again, stock everything, including up front. We'll kind of secure the wires. Got my hood clamps there as well. So we're to the end. Hopefully have some fun on the racetrack.